journalist Jerry Dunleavy. He was a senior investigator into the House Foreign Affairs Committee probe into the deadly withdrawal. He also co-wrote a book on the chaos called Kabul, The Untold Story of Biden's Fiasco and the American Warriors who fought to end the fight. Thank you for joining us this morning, Jerry. I know you consider yourself a whistleblower, and you say this investigation and probe has hit an investigative paralysis. Let's start with where your head is today, given the marking of this deadly day.
Yeah, so we're now on the third anniversary of the Abbey Gate bombing. 13 U.S. service members killed, dozens of them wounded, well over 100, maybe 200 Afghan civilians killed as well. And that being done, that horrible event happening as the U.S. attempted to conduct a withdrawal out of Kabul airport while relying on the Taliban to provide security. And we all saw on our televisions the chaos and ultimately the death. And I was on the House Foreign Affairs Committee's investigation into the Biden-Harris administration's withdrawal and evacuation, its disastrous withdrawal and evacuation. And unfortunately, that investigation, by choice often, chose not to bring in witnesses that it should have brought in, chose not to ask questions it should have been asking, and with witnesses that it did bring in, such as Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley, Commander of CENTCOM, General McKenzie, the committee made a specific choice to help those generals avoid their share of the accountability as well. There's a lot of blame to go around, but the problem is that this Republican-led investigation chose to let certain people skate on accountability, and that troubles me. We need answers and accountability for the Gold Star families. We need those answers and accountability for all of the U.S. service members who served in Afghanistan, for those who died in Afghanistan, and we need those answers and accountability if we want to make sure that something horrific like this doesn't happen in the future. And I worry that something like this is more likely to happen in the future if there's not accountability.
You resigned as a result of your concerns over the lack of movement in this investigation. You're speaking out now at a highly charged political time. Are you optimistic that these families get those answers before Election Day?
I'm not optimistic about it. I do consider myself sort of an eternal optimist. I'm not optimistic about it, but it's not impossible. The committee, led by Chairman McCall, made significant mistakes, making choices to help General Milley and General McKenzie sort of escape their share of responsibility, made a serious mistake treating Doha negotiator Zalmay Khalilzad with kid gloves, made mistakes not bringing in key military witnesses like General Donahue, General Farrell Sullivan, Rear Admiral Vaisley. These were the military commanders on the ground during the evacuation. Military commanders who have answers to questions that the committee refuses to ask. If we want answers about what happened at Abbey Gate, and if we want answers about everything that happened, not just in August 2021, but throughout the entire withdrawal and evacuation 2021, the committee needs to start doing the right thing. Honestly, really what I'm asking the committee to do is to just do the basics. Chairman McCall has a lot of power as the chairman of a committee. He holds the gavel, he has subpoena power, he can compel witness testimony, truthful witness testimony. He can compel documents, he can compel all sorts of things. And unfortunately, the committee didn't bring in State Department witnesses it should have brought in, refused to bring in military witnesses it should have brought in, made mistakes with treating some of these key witnesses with kid gloves and letting them off the hook. But it's never too late to start doing the right thing, to at least get the ball rolling on getting the answers that need to be gotten. Unfortunately, the torch is going to have to be picked up by someone else because of how much time this committee has wasted. But it's not too late for them to start doing the right thing, and I really hope that they do, because the Gold Star families deserve it, and so does So does everyone that served in Afghanistan.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.